DadBQ, it's DadBQ.
Hello and welcome to DadBQ. Today we're going to be smoking up some
fajitas!
You heard them. Let's start cooking. Flank steak fajitas and smoked peppers and onions. We're going to start off today with our overview and recipe screenshot. Now, where am I going to find that recipe? Oh! Flank steak fajitas with smoked peppers and onions. Another dish that once you master, you will never get at a restaurant again. We're actually going to start this dish by focusing on the vegetables. We're going to cut the peppers and onions long, thick pieces, because you want to smoke them, you want to get them tender. If you cut these too thinly, they're going to start crisping and burning on themselves and disappearing and wilting on you. You want to make sure that you give yourself room to work when you're applying heat. Coat it with olive oil, season it with your rub or salt and pepper. We use a chili lime with this iteration here, but I've done this with salt and pepper with great success as well. Smoker at 250 degrees, 275 degrees, hour and a half before you put the flank steaks on. Once you're ready to get the flank steaks going, smear it with a binder, yellow mustard, putting the rub on. Again, you could also use salt and pepper for this. I suggest matching the steak and the vegetables. So if you're going to use salt and pepper, do it on both. If you're going to do a rub, do it on both, because that's going to help create a consistency of flavor for you. Smoke it up to temperature. If you're going to do a reverse sear, bring it up to 125, which is rare, and then get your grill ripping hot, minute on each side. Add a little bit of that char, a little bit of texture on the outside, or if it's your preference, just bring it up all the way on the smoker. With the flank steak, it is imperative, very important, that you make sure that you butcher this the right way before you serve it. You need to make sure that you are cutting perpendicular to the grain. That doesn't mean that you're going to be just going and cutting them in even pieces along the whole length of it. You have to look for the grain, make sure that you're perpendicular, and that's going to provide you the most tender pieces, because if you go along the grain or close to it, it's going to become stranny and chewy and not be what you want. So perpendicular, and you're going to love it. So let's get back to it. Okay, first step for our flank steak fajitas. What do we need to do?
Slicing up peppers and onions.
All right, since we're going to use a knife for that, I'll start with that and I'll call you back over. So, cutting up peppers and onions. We're going to want nice pieces that are going to be thick and flavorful. We don't want them to be too thin as we're cutting. There's a number of ways to cut peppers. One of the most successful ways that I've found is cutting off the top of the bell pepper, pulling out the seeds, pulling out the pith right there, tapping out those remaining seeds, and then from there you're able to cut pepper in half and then get long, lengthwise cuts of pepper. You can always pull out as much of the pith as you want. It's not necessarily something we need to be worried about with a green pepper. Also, with the onion, you have two ends. You have the root end here, and you're going to have the other side there. The root end, if you're ever going to cut and save it, you want to make sure that you're saving part of the root there. So we're going to cut halfway through with that. And I'm going to cut off the top part away from the root. And then I'm going to peel back the papery first layers of the onion. And I even capitulate the first layer so that we have a nice clean onion here. And then I'm going to have some nice thick lengthway cuts that I'm pulling off the root that I'm going to be able to break up apart for these. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut up the rest of these. Great. So now that we're finishing up chopping, do you want to break up some of these onions into the bowl there? So now that we have these all sliced up, what is our next step?
We are going to put season on the peppers and onions.
Great. So first thing we're going to do, you can help me here, we're going to put a little olive oil as a little binder. Okay. So now, just with tongs, I'm going to turn it over. And I actually like tossing within it, but that's a little bit more of an advanced technique there, right? So now that we have that, we have a little chili lime rub that we're going to use today. So go ahead, now from a high point, shake it. Good. So get a nice, generous seasoning there. Okay. And now you want to, with the tongs, squeeze and then turn. Yep. Squeeze and then turn. Good. Well. Perfect. All right. So now I'm going to put this into a tray to put on the smoker, and I'm going to have this go at 250 degrees in the smoker for probably about an hour before we introduce the fajitas as well. So go ahead, nice high sprinkle. Okay, you give it one last go. All right. Good. All right. Onto the smoker. Great. So now the peppers and onions have been on the smoker for close to an hour. We're going to get our flank steaks ready. So can you help us with what's the next step?
Now we are going to put a binder on the flank steaks and season.
That's absolutely right. We're going to add a binder. We're going to use yellow mustard. And then we have 2 flank steaks, and we're going to use 2 different rubs with 2 different spice varieties. So with adding a binder, gloves can often be too big. So a thing that I do with little hands is I use a little Ziploc bag, and that serves as the glove for them to be able to help slather the mustard. You want to get down?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're here. So go ahead. And then just slather it all around evenly. Good job. Okay, so take your hand off there, and then I'm going to add this rub on this side, and the binder is necessary to help the rub stick. So we're going to add that on this side. I'm going to take this. And then something to also keep in mind is that when you're doing things of varying spice levels, do the mild one first. So we're doing the more mild one here. Great. You gonna help? Excuse you. And another little tip and trick when you have a helper helping you, having a hand here to bump against allows the helper to be able to do it because you can't always get the full shake that you want. So great. So now we got this. What's the next step?
Onto the smoker.
There. Okay, so we have a beautiful flank steak here, and we have smoked it up to temperature, up to 125. Then we threw it on the grill to reverse sear it. Got some nice char on the outside and thermopenned it, and it's a perfect medium rare right now. So now, when you look, you need to look for the striations, and you see the striations, the grains are running this way. So even though you might want to just cut this way, you want to make sure that you're perpendicular coming across those so that you're having the most tender piece based upon the angles that you're engaging with. So as I'm here, I'm going to cut some nice slices perfectly perpendicular to the grain. So as we're here, you can see that beautiful medium rare. Okay, there we go. All right, so we've smoked this to temperature. We have this at a medium rare for you girls here, and we've cut this across the grain so that these are nice and tender. So I've pre-cut pieces here, so go ahead and grab a piece. You can grab it, not from there, grab them from over here. Ooh.
It's so good. It's so good. It's delicious.
Well, good. So we got this, we got the onions and peppers ready to go. Okay, save some for dinner. Right. All right, that's it for DadBQ. Thank you. Remember, who's the Q?
DadBQ. Boop boopy doo, it's DadBQ. The family-friendly cooking show.
Thanks for watching. Comment down below if there is something you would like us to teach you to make, or if you have a delicious dish that you would like to potentially have featured on DadBQ. We are building a family-friendly cooking community that we want you to join. First step to joining that community, like, comment, and subscribe, and visit us at dadbq.com.